If anything in this video counts as misinformation, that's what you get for being on the internet, I think. So, you clicked on this video, that means you want to talk cameras, baby. Now, I'm a little bit of a camera nerd. Not a lot of it, but like a little bit, which means I'm going to pretend like I know everything in the world, and I'm going to pretend like I'm the world's greatest source of knowledge. Because everyone's like mad at modern technology right now because it's pissing all of us off, there's been like a huge resurgence of single-use devices, which I love. I love all those things. We've got CD players coming back, we've got record players coming back, we've got MP3 players, and iPod's coming back. She's like well over a decade old. Like, this was mine. It was bought new back in the day. And she still works like a dream. Now, I haven't modded her because let's stay true to life, shall we? But like I could make her work better. But she works great. She's ancient and she works great. Semicolon, however, comma. With the resurgence of all these technologies, they're also getting more expensive, which means you can no longer just walk into a Goodwill and find one for like $5 and that happens to still work. You have to actually like put some thought into where your money is going, and so that's what I'm here to do. We're gonna talk cameras. Now, you can ignore all this advice. You can buy whatever camera you want. That's between you and the Lord, I guess. But if you want like a little bit of advice, stick around, maybe. Now, the step one question I feel in my heart you should ask yourself is, what are you using the camera for? How are you going to use it? Because the number one way I see everyone using it, which, real, that's so me, is you want something that can fit in your pocket or your purse and you can just whip out and then go, pachoo. I love taking photos like that. Or you're also like a little bit of photography nerd already, or you want to be, and you want to join me in the world of learning vocab like aperture and ISO and shutter speed and all that fun stuff. That's going to really determine what kind of camera you buy. Because if you just want to point and shoot, you're probably going to buy a point and shoot camera. That's a real term that exists. But if you want to play with all the little buttons and you want to figure out everything it does, you're probably going to buy a DSLR camera. Now, if you're like, hey, what do those letters mean? Why are you whipping letters at me? It's just stupid lingo. You don't actually have to care about the letters. DSLR just means digital, because it's a digital camera, single lens reflex. Like, that's what the SLR stands for. It just means there's a mirror inside. And the mirror reflects the light at sensors so the camera can do stuff. That's all that it means, okay? When you hear DSLR, it just means it's a digital camera and there's a mirror in it. If you hear just SLR, that means it's a film camera. So, like, if you want to learn film, that's absolutely, I support it. But if you don't, DSLR is where you want to look. Thank you. Now, DSLRs and point and shoots in the, like, used market right now, because, you know, the point and shoots, they're making like a huge comeback. It's kind of like manual and automatic cars. Now, I'm going to pretend like I know anything about cars, even though I totally don't. As far as I'm concerned, the automatic cars, in especially, you know, used market for cars, tend to cost a little more. And manuals are going to be a little cheaper. But if you don't know how to use manual, you can't hang out in that market because you're like, I don't know what I'm doing with this. It's kind of like that for DSLRs and point and shoot. It's a little more to get the point and shoot, but the point and shoot is doing all the stuff for you. You don't have to learn all your fun little vocab words. DSLR, they do have automatic settings. Don't get me wrong. They have a setting where you can basically point and shoot. But if you're getting it, you're not usually going to use that. You're going to learn what all the fun little terms mean, and you're going to do the different settings. And some of your photos are going to come out like crap because, whoopsie, I left the lens cap on. Happens. But, you know, it's whatevers. That's how it works. That's the point of getting the DSLR, is you have all the fun little settings. And especially, kind of like people who drive manual, once you learn all the fun stuff, you're going to be a little pretentious about it. And you're going to be like, this is way better, and I'm never going to go back to the other thing. And you know what? I support your dreams. Whatever works for you. But the point is, if you want to have all the fun little, you know, control over all the settings, you want to have swappable lenses, all that stuff, you look at the DSLR. You say, I want to whip it out and go with all my friends. You look at the point and shoot. Whatever works for you. Now, a big thing to note between point and shoot and DSLR is DSLR are going to be bulky. Okay, point and shoot, you literally whip out of your pocket because it's tiny and you shoot. DSLR, like, you've got a whole bag. You've got like a backpack going on. Now, right now I'm filming on my wonderful, beautiful DSLR, so I'm not going to like take it down, but this Nikon, about the size of my camera currently. Look at that. She's huge. I would need like a whole bag. She's not fitting in my purse. So again, that's why it comes down to how are you going to use it? Because I don't want to lug around a DSLR if I just want to whip out a camera and go. But if I do want to do that, I've got the backpack at the ready. Whatever works. Now, one huge thing to note between all this fun stuff, if you've got a little bit more money and you want to get a really nice camera that has all those fun little settings, but you're like, I like the smallerness of a point and shoot, well, then you can look at a mirrorless camera. Now, in case you couldn't tell by the name, which, crazy, mirrorless cameras are mirrorless. Unlike the DSLRs, the single lens reflex, which have the little reflecting mirror, mirrorless don't have that. So because of that, they can be smaller and lighter, and sometimes the people who use mirrorless cameras are a little bit pretentious about it. But, whatever works for them, they're rich and they have money. If they were going to be pretentious with or without the camera, because they're rich. It's whatever. But, if you've got the money to put towards the mirrorless camera and you like the compactness of it, but you also like how the photos are like crisper and you can control all the little settings, great, do that. Whatever flies your airplane. I know in my heart, if we're here to talk about digital cameras with the resurgence of them, we're really here to talk about point and shoots. So I'm primarily going to talk about point and shoots because it's going to make my life easier. I know you hear about the Cybershot, you hear about the Kodak, you hear about all that fun stuff, and I respect it. I love them. They're thin, they're cute, they usually come in fun little colors. Absolutely. So I'm going to more so talk about some of the different specs and statistics and stuff that you should be considering when you're trying to figure out which one of these cameras do I want to buy, because I'm poor. I can only get one or two or three or four or five. Maybe I do have a little bit of a problem. So, discussing cameras and the different models, one of the first things I'm going to discuss is megapixels. Now, 98% of you already can figure out what that means if you don't already know it. More megapixels means more pixels. Obviously, pixels are that tiny little square of light that makes up your photo. So when you've got a lot more squares of light, the photo is going to be a whole lot clearer. It's going to have a lot more detail. That's great. That's wonderful. But it's probably going to cost more because you're getting more detail and data and all that fun stuff. So, for example, we've got here my beautiful tiny little pink Cybershot. I love her. She is 14. Oh my gosh. She is 14 megapixels. So, I like her photos. They look nice. They're not necessarily as crisp as some of my other cameras, but they're pretty and I like them. Down here we've got my Fujifilm. I haven't used her a lot. She is 12 megapixels, so she's even less detailed. Even though she's bulkier, she's got less detail than the Cybershot, so she's never really my go-to. I've taken a few photos on her. I don't whip her out all that much. However, we have the love of my life, this Cybershot. So this Cybershot right here is the DSC W350. I love her. She's gorgeous. This is the DSC HX20V. I'm sorry, I don't have these things off the top of my head. I have to read them. I'm a nerd, but I'm not that much of a nerd. She has 18.2 megapixels. She's got just slightly less than my Canon. Just like a little bit. I'm pretty sure the Canon has 18.7. It's really, really, really close. And I like the photos on this. I think she's gorgeous. Now this one, I bought her secondhand. She does have a little error that she just randomly buzzes. I'm pretty sure she would need to be taken apart and cleaned out. It's a whole thing. That's why you have to be careful when you buy secondhand. Read all the descriptions. This one cost me $40. I'm in no way mad about it, but 30, even less. But her photos look great. She just annoys me because she decides to randomly buzz, and I'm like, what are we doing that for? I wasn't even zooming or anything. You just want to be mad at me. But yeah, there is a visible difference between the quality. And if you're going for that, early 2000s Y2K grainy aesthetic, then you can look in lower megapixels. But if you want your camera's photos to actually be clear and distinct and you want to have, far better looking photos, you go to the higher megapixel. It's purely preference, okay? I can take photos on the 14 and I think they look cute because they have that older aesthetic, and I can take photos on the 18 and they look crisp and I think they look gorgeous. It's purely about what the mood you're feeling and what you want from the camera. Another small statistics you may compare between cameras is their zoom range. So for example, this camera does not have nearly the same zoom range that my other CyberShot does. This one can zoom way further in, so if I want to take like a nice macro shot, I'm going to whip out this bad boy. But 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to have this in my pocket at the ready, it's just, shoot a photo of me and my friends or something, right? I don't care about zoom. So that's not really a statistic I have to pay attention to. So again, that might bring down the price for you if you really don't care about taking macro shots or taking a long distance shot, all that stuff. You can look for something with a lower range. But if you want to have the opportunity to do a wide range of photos, then that might bring up the price for you because, you're looking for one specific device that you can use a lot of stuff for versus one device you can't do as much stuff with. Again, whichever one works for you. You'll find that's a common theme. What works for you? It's not about what works for me or what works for your friend. What works for you? So one thing I have seen talked about a few times whilst discussing point and shoots and digital cameras is how the colors look in the camera, specifically cooler tones versus warmer tones. Like that's the one thing I see discussed a lot. And absolutely, if you just want to like whip your camera out of your pocket, you don't want to mess with any settings ever, you can totally look into what shoots warmer, what shoots cooler. People tend to prefer the warmer tone because it's just like that coziness. It's that like, Y2K vibe, whatever works, right? But at the same time, we have to remember cameras have settings, and if you want to use like one little setting, you can wildly change the tones on your photo. Now, cameras tend to have different presets for like, especially like my newer CyberShot, my nicer one, certain settings that can like really make certain colors pop, stuff like that. But the main setting you should look into is white balance. White balance balances the whiteness of your photo. Crazy how that works. Specifically, let's break that down more a little. The white balance, it usually says what kind of light are you shooting in right now, right? Like let's say you're shooting under white fluorescent. You turn that on and the camera's going to adjust and it's going to know, hey, I'm shooting under white fluorescent, so these should be the settings that I'm shooting with right now, so every photo looks as like true to life as possible. At the same time, you can like lie to your camera. Crazy how that works, right? You can totally lie and you can say I'm in this lighting, and so your camera's going to adjust, but since you're not, it's going to make your photo, maybe it's going to make it look a lot warmer, or it's going to make it look a lot cooler because it's adjusting for light that isn't actually there because you lied. How could you lie? It's crazy. But you can use the white balance setting to manually, that's the word I'm looking for, shift what kind of color you want to shoot. And you want to shoot warmer, you want to shoot colder. And again, you are like, I don't want to hit any settings ever. I don't want to mess with any of that. I just want to whip it out and hit buttons. You can totally look into what camera shoots warmer and what camera shoots colder. That's your prerogative. You do whatever the hell you want. But it's one tiny little setting, white balance, in case you didn't hear the first time, that can wildly change the color of your photo. So, keep that in mind, that looking into what shoots cooler, what shoots warmer, probably really doesn't matter as much as you think it does. Because you can change that without even having to do any like post editing. All you have to do is change one little setting on your camera and it'll do that. And I have not found a camera that doesn't have that setting unless it has like 3 settings and that's it. Another big thing that you need to consider when you're trying to find a camera is how much certain names really matter to you. Because I get it. We all want the Sony CyberShot. I love the Sony CyberShots. They're so cute. And we all want the Kodak. I've seen that one. The quality on that one's really nice. And it's honestly not that expensive for a point and shoot. Like, I could find one for less than $100. I really like that one. But do we all need the same 4 cameras? There are a lot of brands. Okay? So, yeah, you've got Sony. You've got Kodak. You've also got Nikon. Nikon makes some pretty good cameras, and they're a big camera name. Canon also makes really good cameras. Now, people talk crap about Canon cameras. I think that a lot of them look really pretty. And sure, the latest cameras might be obnoxiously expensive. Secondhand, baby. We're all on eBay, we're all on Mercari, and I know it. So just look on there, and I'm sure you can find a really nice one secondhand for a lot less. And you've also got, again, there's probably brands that you haven't heard of, okay? If you're not a photography nerd, can you look me in the eyes and tell me that you remember that Minolta cameras exist? Because I'm pressing X to doubt. Fujifilm. Okay, I know we all think of like the Instax minis. Fuji does more. I promise you. They make digital cameras. You think of like maybe top 3 and you're like, okay, that's it. There are a lot of camera brands, and so let's look into them. Let's Google them a little bit. Let's look it up. Let's see what we can find, because I can assure you, you find one, great specs, one of those top 3 names, and it's like $300. You can probably find one with the same specs and the same quality for like half the price, and it's still a name brand. It's just not one of the like 3 that you can name off the top of your head. Okay, just saying. At the same time, however, let's try to avoid off-brand, and I'm not talking like, you know, you can't do cheaper, more generic cameras. I'm saying that usually they're lying to you. Okay, I know we've all seen the Amazon 4K cameras. They're not shooting in 4K. I mean, I'm sure some of them are. I'm sure there are a couple that like are on pure technicality telling the truth, but 98% of them are telling you lies. Okay, they're promising you this quality that they're never gonna give you. And for what? Now, if you want to put like $20 into this random digital camera, especially like the little tiny ones, like the little keychain ones, they're adorable and I love them. Just don't expect quality and you'll be fine. Okay, if you're not going into it with like good quality in mind, like you want that little grainy look, absolutely, you can purchase them. I support your dreams, and it's like way cheaper. But if you want to take something that's more than like 10 pixels, don't do it. Okay, you're gonna be lied to. Okay, whatever specs they give you, 9 times out of 10, they are a lie. They're not true. And you can pull up their reviews for 5 seconds and they'll be like, yeah, the photos look nice, I like them, they're just not what they promised. So if you're okay with being lied to and not getting great quality, absolutely. If you don't want to be lied to, don't get them. Simple as that. Hopefully all of that nonsensical information was helpful and will help you narrow down the kind of camera you want to buy. Please do not, just because you found 3 cute TikToks talking about it, instantly buy a camera for like $300 when you can buy something way cheaper. And keep your eyes peeled on Facebook Marketplace, because I can assure you there is somebody nearby selling something for cheap that will have the same quality that you want. Keep those eyes and ears peeled. You'll find something. I promise you. There's a camera out there for everybody. Okay, bye.